It's not about giving you the straight answer. And I think in quality and regulatory, it's so difficult to say this is what you need to do. The AI just see like a small, when we talk about AI, some people they think AI is like a magic wand and so on. Actually, it is.
All right, welcome to another episode of Life Sciences 360. My guest today is Ivan Perez Chamorro. He is the CEO and founder of MedBoard. He lives in UK. Welcome to the show, Ivan.
Hello, Harsh. Thank you so much for having me as well.
I want to start off by asking you, what was the moment in your career that inspired you or motivated you to start MedBoard?
I think that the idea kind of like cultivated over a period of time. I always had passion to access to information, trusted information, strategies, and so on. But it is true that I could say there was a defining moment that said, okay, I need to do something. And it's kind of like a funny story about it. I was consulting, I was helping board of directors, a CEO for a big pharma. And they were asking me a lot of questions, and I was responding to those questions. They were like getting a lot of knowledge or intelligence in case of how to get to another country, what was the best strategy, and so on. We reached to a moment that the CEO said to me, "How can I clone you?" Quite ironically, like it was not about me having all that knowledge. And I said to them, "I'm not a specialist in this. This information is out there. It's just a matter to having access to this information." So that phrase stayed in my head when I came back to the UK, because this meeting was actually in Paris. And I came back and I was thinking, I always wanted to create a product since I did my studies, first in physics and then in business. And that idea about cloning has to be a platform where people can access this type of information. So if there was a defining moment where I say, yeah, now I need to do it, that was that phrase that person said to me.
Wow, interesting. So you were in this project, but you had all the regulatory knowledge and everything in your brain, and then you basically productized that into the software after you heard that phrase from whoever said, "How can I clone you?"
It was more like the idea, right?
The idea,
so in that case, there was a lot of research. It was more about the concept, I would say, because there was a lot of research, a lot of trying to find information, structured information, and provide pathways or options, right? And that information, in terms of that, it was regulatory, it was clinical as well, and it was developed, and it was combining all that information. That information was out there. It was just a matter to find that information out there. But when you don't know the sources, or when you don't know that information exists, it feels like so far away sometimes.
Yep. So you're already going into the next question that I had in my head, which is, being in this space, you mentioned that having the information in all different sources, that's a challenge. What are like some other challenges that life science companies have with managing regulatory intelligence or regulatory documentation from your experience?
I think the main one today is to keep up to date. Most of the companies, they come to us, they report either they cannot keep up to date or they have a lot of people using manual processes, forms, in order to keep up to date. So either you use manual processes or you are actually losing track. So that's for me is the main problem or the main need that we have today. If you look back like 5, 10, 15 years ago, maybe this was not needed, right?
Yeah.
Because there were not this kind of like huge flow of news. When you look into the clinical area as well, there's like a much higher flow of news and updates. So I think that would be the main problem. And the second would be to keep organized. So once you have detected that information, you need to create a workflow or kind of a process where you can review the information, make some decisions, and then create tasks to actually action the intelligence, the actions, or whatever you have found that you need to do a remediation. So that process, the second challenge that companies has.
And then, so your platform MedBoard helps them with managing all this information, organizing it, so all their companies' users who are using the platform can access that information and customize their own views. Is that how you've designed the product?
Yes, how we approach the product is first a huge platform content, a lot of content, that specific platform. We have AI research, so we can complement information. We as well allow users to get information connected between like different pieces of information. And then on the other side, we have enterprise solutions that allows companies to actually customize. So we have systematic reviews, we have list monitoring. We are releasing actually in a couple of weeks a task manager. We have product portfolio, we have a contract registrations, and we have a lot of different digital solutions. So first, what we do is we focus everything like the center had to be the data, trusted data. And then we are building a lot of digital solutions, that enterprise solutions for companies.
Interesting. And do you, as a CEO of the company, I'm sure that you've come across many projects or worked with many clients who have seen the benefit or the advantage of using your platform. Do you know of any projects or any stories where a client used MedBoard and the before and after, like before they use MedBoard and after, where you saw the benefits of helping them? Do you have any examples you can share?
I will give you examples, but just the main statistic is we have 100% retention. So
wow.
Obviously that means that they are finding value and then they want to grow with us. I think when we talk about benefits and specific projects or companies, we are sometimes forgetting that humans are behind. So the best feedbacks that we get is humans, professionals, individuals saying, thank you.
Yeah.
This used to take me like 3 weeks. Now it takes me 5 minutes. I go there. I have all my updates. I can review the information and so on. And the other thing that is very important to recognize as well for organizations and senior management is those individuals, they're using their time many times as well for very boring tasks. So they are reviewing Word documents, they are filling forms, or they are like checking a lot of websites every day. So the specific stories are more within teams, individuals. But for example, we have teams or companies that they used to have like 5-6 people doing this task. Now they can do it with MedBoard and they can use that 5 or 6 people with something else. Or we have the stories that I really like about this one, like auditor auditing a company. The company saying, no, we haven't had any field safety corrective action last year, checking your MedBoard on real time and say, well, I can see you had one. Are you sure? No, yes. And then after that, recognize that actually there was a field safety corrective action that they forgot. And that's a very important concept that we want to bring with MedBoard is transparency. So companies, regulators, and other stakeholders to know that there is more transparency because we are allowed to connect all the dots and relations, create these relationships between different events, different type of organizations, and as well individuals.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We mentioned about transparency because there are a lot of use cases that maybe you see companies and clients using them. It's hard to envision when you first design the platform, but now that it's out there, I've seen sometimes where like a software is designed to do X, but then most of the people use it for some other use case at which we never thought of, like, I never thought this could be used. So it's nice to learn that you saw different, like an auditor example and then one from the client. I want to ask you about data. So I'm sure that, so if I understand correctly, so MedBoard has external data, but also internal data. Is that correct? From a client, they can add internal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, we have you can see 3 channels. We have external data that we create, trusted data. We create as well summaries in some specific areas. And then it's through customers, they can upload data and manage that data organized as well and connect with the other 3 or the other 2 channels as well.
I see. Okay. So that's where I was thinking, when you were first doing these with your first set of users, did you get I'm sure you got a lot of questions around data security or data privacy. Can you walk me through how what kind of questions did you get and how did you stabilize the platform to show that you're keeping the data secure?
I think when we started, it was like a minimal, let's say the MVP. So what we did is to put the platform at the very beginning and we got a lot of feedback. So Most of the times when you are close to the customer, you understand very well what they need in terms of like cybersecurity, also like location, in terms of as well access, in terms of as well many different type of backups and other type of like discovering these ISO standards or SOC standards and so on. But it's very true when you actually work with manufacturers or you work with consulting or experts, each of them, they have specifics that they need to be added as well. So you need to come as well with an open mind that depending on the customer, they may have specific information that they need. One of the key things for us is our platform. We don't send our data somewhere else. So it's our data. So that facilitates as well that we don't have beyond usernames, emails. We don't have any other data that could be difficult to manage. So obviously in terms of the companies and organizations, we have a high security procedures and as well protocols for that.
So I know you mentioned about regulatory intelligence and some of the challenges that you've encountered users and how they've explained to you. But if you were to think about the next 10 years in the life sciences industry, what kind of challenges that you think will happen that you're already learning about them, maybe you need to incorporate them into your product. So do you see any new challenges that the industry will face in the next 10 years in this area?
I don't like to plan that far. The reason is because things are changing very fast, and it's important to plan more in the short term. Having a vision, we always joke internally that we have enough work for the next 5, 10, 20 years. Like we have this eternal joke inside when we started that we're going to have a lot of work to do here. I think the challenges are going to come as new technologies or new regulations or as well new social movements appear in the society. Two things are always is a challenge is having good information, having trusted information. You can look into 5,000 years ago, you still have the same challenge. Or even like talking with a neighbor, is this trusted information? Is this true information I can trust? And the second thing is the adoption. If we talk about the technology, and obviously you work in the same spectrum of the adopting technologies, the adoption by humans. Many times, and you will have this experience, I'm pretty sure, you have a great idea, you have a great technology, but the adoption actually is not happening. And what we see as well, the adoption with technologies, it takes time. It takes as well, like depending on you have normally the early adopters, they go there very fast, but to roll out into more people is a bit more like time, effort, and you can see this in the digital health. Everything, all the benefits, clear, but it's taking more time than thought as well because we are all humans. So I think that the adoption is always a big important part, and obviously that's why it's so important to be close to the customer, have a great usability, so they don't feel actually that feels like an effort. Sometimes companies and individuals come to us, so we have this program who actually is creating us more work. We don't want to be in that spectrum. We want to do whatever is possible for us to actually make things easier for the human.
Okay, yeah. And your team at MedBoard, are they majority based in UK, or you have people like remote all over the world?
We are fully remote company. We were before COVID.
Okay, great.
So that's something that we wanted. The team is in the UK, Spain, and Portugal right now. We used to have as well in the US, and then maybe they go back to work with us as well. So we are like fully remote. We are hiring as well. And what can I say? I have a super talented. If I could choose the people to do this again, I would choose the same people like Javi, Steven, Pablo. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And one of the things that we prove as well, we are fast developers. So customers, they ask for things, and this is how we're growing. Customers, they ask for specific features or content, and we actually develop that very quickly as well. So customers and ourselves, we feel we can do anything. So it's just a matter of time, obviously a prioritization.
So for any other entrepreneurs who are listening to this, I don't know if they're building a SaaS product for life sciences or some other industry, how do you go about building the team? Because I know you mentioned that if you got a chance to hire people, again, you would hire the same exact people. And that is a challenge for many entrepreneurs. They're growing, they have a lot of opportunities within the company, but maybe they're struggling by hiring the right person. So any advice you have for entrepreneurs who are building a remote team and hiring people?
I'm not sure if I'm an expert hiring. I'm still learning as well. It's always a challenge. I think the main thing that we look after is culture, to all have the same values. And when you all have the same values, culture, you have a incredible communication. And if that team is talented, then obviously everything is going to work together. We are not a big team, and people think we are hundreds when they see the platform. Like, how many hundreds people are working here? Like, no, we are not that much. We're not that many. But when you have a really like core team with those characteristics, is very important. One thing I would say as well is there is a huge component of luck that you come across with somebody, and what I would say is you recognize that someone is very good. Just go to talk to that person and just speak about the project, the vision, and obviously if that person wants to work in that project, then it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it is a challenge, right? Like, even for me, I'm in the consulting space, so just you are like professional services, but even in the consulting space, it's always challenging to find the right person for the right project, because there's only so much you can read from a resume and find out, but the culture fit is so important, because especially with remote, I have 7 consultants on my team right now that are working on projects, and I've never met them face to face. Right. But they're all doing really great work, and we've sort of established, but the challenge sometimes becomes is that every person has a different style of working. So some people, they like to text me and say, oh, today I did this, or here's an issue. Other people, they don't say anything for a week. At the end of the week, they tell me like, oh, I did this happened this week. So like, I have to always like adjust my style, but that's also one of the challenges I've seen is I cannot have just one style and have people adopt that. That becomes a challenge for having a remote team when you're not able to see the person. You're only relying on meetings or email or Slack messages, and that's about it, right? And then the time zone adds another huge wrinkle into this. So yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's an expert, but everyone has their own tips and tricks of what's working for them. I think having a good culture is definitely a non-negotiable. Like, if you find somebody who does that, I think you found the right people.
Yes, when you have like a core team of 8, 9 people, 10 with the same core values, they are self-policing the whole group, because someone else with a different culture comes in, it's going to be very easy to identify the outlier. So
right.
It's a matter to have the right people from the beginning. One thing I do is for the key positions, I meet the person face to face before even I hire like to work remote. So I like to meet people face to face, and we keep ourselves meeting face to face as well. Like whether we go to events, whether we do for another reasons, or if people like Steven that lives very close to me, so we go for dinner and we don't talk about work. Although we end up talking about what's the next thing we're going to do with search and so on. But is just having that connection as well is important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's why I'm making an effort to meet some of the people that I haven't met, just because I want to have that connection, if you will, just to meet them and talk more about non-work related stuff. Like we've talked before this show, prepping for it, that I'm really passionate about AI and what it's doing in life sciences, the different types of use cases. I still hear most of the use cases in the preclinical or clinical or drug discovery or the early stages, not so many in quality and regulatory side of things. So I've got a chance to work with many clients to integrate AI, machine learning, and no code into the quality QMS and quality management. You are doing it on the regulatory intelligence side. So I'm curious to know, can you share examples of some of the features in MedBoard where you integrated AI, and how did you think of the idea to integrate AI to those features?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been actually, and when we talk about AI, we work in-house with our great people doing AI. So we don't plug AI from that side and say we have AI. We actually work with AI. The first example that we did, it was like 3 years ago, and we created this MDR classifier and IVDR classifier, which it was a short project, but it was very, very interesting because it gave us, with our MVP, the insight that we wanted. And actually, we got rid of that project after. And we continue with other developments. The reason is, and you're going to recognize this as well, we created this super cool MDR, so you could intended use or any type of device, and it will give you the classification straight away, right? What was happening is when we made it public, the prompts from people that didn't know very well what to put, they were not obviously very well defined, so it was not giving the output they were expecting. And that was more than 90% of people. So when we talk about this type of technologies at ChatGPT, obviously like at such a different level than what we were doing. It was like a toy. But the limitation sometimes for those technologies is the ability for people to actually know what to inquiry to the machine. And then what we found as well, if you are a huge expert on a specific topic, that tool is not enough. Right, because more than the machine. And the other thing that is very important to recognize in limitations is quality and regulatory is very interpretative.
Yeah,
and we start with regulations, guidance, and still between experts there's different interpretations and so on. So what I'm trying to say with this introduction is we've been playing with AI, for many years until now. Now, how we see AI in an ecosystem is more like a co-pilot that can help the users and the companies to make decisions. So we don't want to be the decision maker, but just giving different type of information. Always like AI, we use for extracting the information, organizing the information, extract different type of information from clinical articles, from regulations, and so on. And then we are working as well with what we can do with generative, but we want to create, because our platform is evidence-based. So every time we provide a piece of information, we provide the link, is how we can provide that information, but with a high trusted approach. And that's the key thing. Now with AI, I think that the possibilities is, once that we have the structure with our platform, there are many actually uses for AI because they can automate or they can create different tasks depending on what actually is happening within the organization, obviously within the account, or any updates. So it can trigger a specific information or insights. Hey, I think we need to create a task because this is going to affect this, and this. So actually it's going to be more like a co-pilot to give options to individuals. So sometimes it's not about giving you the straight answer. And I think in quality and regulatory, it's so difficult to say this is what you need to do because the AI just see like a small, when we talk about AI, some people they think AI is like a magic, wand and so on. Actually is data. So it depends so much on which data is using. So if, for example, the technology doesn't have access to some certain interpretation of data or information or guidance, it's going to give you an outcome that actually is not the real. So we need all to be conscious as well that, especially in an area like regulatory quality, a lot of things are gray, and we need to help how to navigate the gray without imposing this is the gray.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a very important point because I've come across working with many consultants and clients and projects, and you talk about a topic, and like you said, it's all about interpreting or understanding the context. But in most cases, when you ask somebody, how do we do X or how do we do Y? And they start their response by saying, it depends. They say the word, it depends, because there is no one answer. And then they start explaining. So that's one of the challenges of working in quality and regulatory, because I could have 3 clients with the same issue, but their solutions are all different, right? Because one has something that the other doesn't have, and that's the nature of our job.
Exactly. And the context would be different. And as well, the history would be different. So maybe an auditor or someone external, like stakeholder, said, you need to do it this way, right? So you have an AI that is being trained with a different feedback or information is going to go against what the auditor told you a few months ago. So that's the context is that's so important. And as well is what that model is being trained with. Like so many times, model could be more the personality. When we talk about, for example, this AI could do clinical literature review automatically. Yeah, but if you've been trained with a specific data for wound care and has specific model, that replicates one person. So it's going to do exactly the same review all the time. And we are all humans different. And that's why they choose you as a quality consultant and no another, because you have different trained data, that your trained data is your experience, and as well how you achieve those milestones and projects. And your model is your personality and the way of doing things as well. So that thinking of, if we use just one way of doing things, we're going to have as well the same results. So I think the human touch is so important. So it's how we incorporate that as a co-pilot rather than just the main driver.
Yes. Yeah, AI is going to be definitely, like you said, co-pilot in helping brainstorming of different solutions, but the human is the ultimate decision maker to say, in my situation or in our situation, this is the best solution. Because I don't think the AI is going to get to that point where, because it's going to give answers that are mostly generic, but it will help you get to that stage faster, like brainstorm faster. So yeah, I've seen that. I'm so glad that you came on this podcast and you're talking about MedBoard and what you're doing. What do you like outside? So this podcast is a great avenue for you to be sharing information about your story and stuff. But do you do like other community events or collaborations or interact with other industry experts or regulatory agencies? What are you up to these days?
Busy. So the first thing, as a CEO, my main role that I'm playing in the company is obviously being close to the customers. So I'm still the one presenting the product, getting the questions. Why? Because I can translate better those requirements to the rest of the team. So my main focus is obviously being close to the customers, understanding better what they need and so on. Apart from that, yes, I'm collaborating as well with agencies that they want to understand better what is the global landscape, what are the changes. Even like authorities, they are struggling to keep up to date with what other authorities are doing. With industry organizations as well. I'm sponsoring some master's degrees, so students that they want to graduate. So I'm the mentor in their course. So I try to keep myself busy and kind of like give back as well. So in terms of the community, obviously, I help different type of industries. I'm still part of the Thakkar committee and many others. So I tend to go to events. I need to as well overcome sometimes. So we try just to go more to a specific or to talk to podcast, or most of the time you will find myself like working, trying just to help others within the community and as well like see whether it could be certain collaborations that we can help. I think the ultimate goal for all of us is to make patients safer. So patient safety is the most important thing, right? So it's how we can advance all together in terms of that. So we have like high quality systems, high like intelligence information. Everything is going to be more transparent. Everything is going to be safer for the patient. So I think that if the other person or any collaborators are working towards the same goal, I try to stretch myself and try to collaborate and help.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, being in life sciences, there's always this. You definitely want product quality. You definitely want patient safety. Those are non-negotiables. They're always there for any company. But at the same time, with so much competition in our industry, there's also the need for speed, right? People want results faster. They want to move faster from phase 1 to phase 2 and so on. So it's really interesting, like more companies like MedBoard that are helping clients do things faster. Like you mentioned the example where a customer told you, oh, this would take me 3 weeks. when I was not using MedBoard, but now it takes me 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? So that's just one example, but there are many other software solutions like MedBoard that have found one problem and tried to reduce the time to solve that problem. And I think we need more companies like that and people like you to build these tools and solutions.
Yeah, and I think we if we all work together, I mean, in terms of making everything faster, more secure, and safer for all the stakeholders, I mean, all we win. If this problem is solved, would be a painter. I like painting, so I would be doing painting, oil painting.
Oh, that's.
I think one of the key things as well for me is when I have this, I always had this story as well. Like I was misdiagnosed when I was like 17, 18 years old and so on. And it was not like the doctor could not diagnose myself. He didn't have access to information. So he didn't know that injury existed. So it was not about, he had to choose between A and B. He didn't have that access to information to say, okay, you have an Achilles tendon, this could be a problem. And this is one of the problems you may have. So I think as well, if we as a humans, we have more access to trusted information in all aspects in life, we're going to make obviously better decisions. I think the key thing is to actually have trusted information. I think that's where the challenge. And I always said, and I'm so happy as well with the 100% retentions and all this huge number of companies that we have is because we are selling trust. That's what we're doing. They trust that they come to our place and we have the information that is trusted and they can find all the evidence related to that. So we all build that environment, ecosystem. I think it's going to be good for professionals and eventually for patients.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, listen, this is really amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to, I know you're busy, you have lots of things going on, but I'm glad we're able to have this discussion. For the audience listening, if they want to connect with you or maybe look at the product, get a demo, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Personally, LinkedIn, obviously Ivan Perez Chamorro, and through the company medboard.com. And obviously fill in the form, and anyone in my team will get back, and I will meet him as I'm the first person to actually attend anyone to listen to what are their needs and so on. So those are the main ways to get in touch with me as well. Okay,
great. And are you going to any conferences where people can meet you in person? Do you have any upcoming conferences?
Yeah, actually, I'm busy October. So next week, Montreal in RAPS, then London AVHI. I'm speaking there as well. I'm very excited to speaking there with great speakers and experts. And then I'm going to Lisbon for TOPRA, and then I will go to Medica in Germany. Yeah. So this fall will be a bit busy. And yeah, so if anyone goes to those events, just feel as well free to get in touch with me.
Yeah, I had Medica on my calendar, but with all the other conferences that I'm going to, I'm not going to make it this year, but maybe next year sometime.
It's a challenge sometimes because there are so many events. So it's just, you can choose aligning with the agenda. I like to work, of course, so I like as well to be in the office. And I'm pretty sure you and I, we will meet at some point in one of these conferences as well. A pleasure.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Ivan. Do you want to have any final closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, just to say thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy it. And again, I think as well for having this type of podcast, sharing information, sharing knowledge, and as well making this more accessible to people.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. And it was great learning about your journey and about MedBoard. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.